We celebrate agriculture at the heart of Nebraska's health and prosperity. During this National Agriculture Week, we visit one-on-one with Governor Pete Ricketts about the challenges and opportunities, plus meet a young pig farmer at the forefront of a tech revolution, and how a rural school showcases careers in agriculture in a high-tech way. It's time to grow. Welcome to Grow as we kick off National Agriculture Week. Agriculture certainly is Nebraska's #1 industry. That was on display this past week at the Governor's Egg Conference, highlighting opportunities, yet challenges remain. Despite the current challenges on the farm, Governor Pete Ricketts continues to believe agriculture is key to growing Nebraska.
You know, it feels like everything's against us right now.
For farmers like Brandon Honeycutt, these are challenging times.
We've got decreasing farm income. We're going into a season that obviously is wet and cold. We're going into nothing got done in the fall. Field work wise, we're dealing with all these trade issues that are out there and the uncertainty.
We're going to be going back to Japan this fall.
At his annual Egg Conference, Governor Pete Ricketts announced a trade mission to Japan and said he continues to work with the Trump administration.
And I had the chance to talk to folks like Ambassador Lighthizer, our U.S. trade representative in D.C. a couple weeks ago, about the progress they're making on those trade agreements with China and Japan and so forth.
The state ag director says when it comes to trade, Nebraska hits it hard, working in dozens of countries.
Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, China. It's nice to get those phone calls to say, hey, we had Nebraska beef and we want to find out how we can get it in our restaurant.
With commodity prices already low, the trade war hits when farmers were already struggling.
Well, there's no doubt that farm income has been hit pretty hard. You know, I think in 2013, farm income in Nebraska was about $7.5 billion. I think this year it's probably going to be closer to $2 billion.
Brandon Honeycutt says they're about a month away from planting. They can't control the weather, but corn growers press the nation's leaders to take action on issues they can control.
The Nebraskan farmer really needs to have some certainty going into the uncertain times.
The governor continues to push his property tax relief plan. However, it remains a tough sell with many in agriculture who think it's too little, too late. Steve White, NTV News, Kearney. American farmers may have new leverage in the trade war with China. The U.S. has won a trade dispute against China, claiming that country unfairly subsidizes grain farmers. The World Trade Organization ruled in favor of the U.S.
What that means for us is that when trade resumes with China, we'll be on a level playing field, which is something we haven't enjoyed for quite some time in that market. Now, that being said, China is not the only market we ought to be looking at. There are plenty of markets across the world that we should address.
For Nate Bloom, the new director of the Nebraska Sorghum Board, trade is a huge issue. Up to 60% of sorghum is exported, and China is the top market. Bloom grew up on a farm in York County and sees a bright future for the crop, also known as Milo.
It's drought tolerant, heat resistant, but you know we have multiple markets to look at, both domestically and internationally. It's such a versatile product that can be used in a lot of different ways, and that's something that should be really exciting to Nebraska producers.
Bloom joins the Sorghum Board after working for Congressman Jeff Fortenberry. Looking now at our poll question, we wanted to know, how concerned are you about the egg economy in general? 2/3 of you say you are very concerned, about a third say you are concerned a little, and just a handful say you are not concerned. As always, results are not scientific. Some say poultry is great because it allows farm families to bring the next generation back. Others say this kind of farming sticks farmers with the risk with one-sided contracts. So what do you generally think about the poultry industry in Nebraska? Follow NTV's Grow on Twitter and vote in our question of the week. Tracking food from the farm to your fork. New technologies could revolutionize agriculture and the way we eat. Here's more now from the Governor's Egg Conference. Why scribble a note on the calendar from the co-op when you can automate record keeping? That's the idea a young entrepreneur uses to launch his business from the farm. Bacon lovers can enjoy breakfast knowing pig farmers like Lucas Fricke aren't on the job. And just like the smart devices in our homes and cars, his barn is high-tech too.
You know, we got digitally controlled barns, you know, best genetics feed, but we're keeping track of all of our records on paper. And one of the biggest things is that how do we transfer those records to other people? And
Fricky saw that as an opportunity, creating ChoreCheck with both software and hardware to automate record keeping.
when you pull up to a hog barn, it's going to say, hey, Lucas is here.
What was your degree in?
He shares his experiences at the Governor's Egg Conference as Governor Pete Ricketts highlights Nebraska's high-tech entrepreneurs based on the farm.
You may have noticed, Lucas, I tend to brag about Nebraska a lot.
Well,
Like, did you notice those 3 cups down here?
I know. They're
Right.
pretty nice and shiny, I'm not going to lie.
Fricky says technologies like his can help tell the story consumers increasingly demand, from farm to fork.
People can eat with confidence and, you know, hopefully pay more for those products and having that. So that's kind of where ChoreCheck started off, was just getting rid of that terrible paperwork and kind of blossom into what it is now.
With the blockchain revolution underway, he says agriculture needs to be part of it, and the concept of his startup is simple.
Wouldn't it be cool if we had a QR code on meat? That is what this is essentially doing.
It may not be Silicon Valley, but Fricky says he's found support in the Silicon Prairie and says the state is open to young agribusiness entrepreneurs.
I think that's a big kudos to the people that have set out a long time ago in making sure Nebraska stays #1 in this industry.
A Broken Bow man has been elected state pork president.
Tim Chancellor is a supervisor for Thomas Livestock Company. He's been with TLC since 1993 and also owns hog finishing facilities. Tim and his wife have 3 kids, and he also serves on the Broken Bow School Board. He said he's looking forward to his role as president of the pork producers.
A lot of issues to deal with right now, with local issues, expansion and building within the state to help the state economy, and then also export. 25 to 30% of all the production we have here in the pork industry in Nebraska, we export to the rest of the world, so very important.
Chancellor has also represented pork producers on a trade mission to Japan, and while pork producers are not impacted on property taxes as some are, Chancellor said hog farmers stand with corn and soybean growers on the need for tax relief.
Next, we visit one-on-one with Governor Pete Ricketts and the state ag director as we celebrate National Ag Week.
Hi, I'm Steve Wellman, Director of Agriculture for the state of Nebraska and a lifetime farmer. And it's great to be part of Nebraska agriculture. We have a lot of opportunities here in Nebraska, and we look forward to continuing that and growing that.